Welcome everybody. Have a very nice day. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Maharaji, for being with us and agreeing to speak to you on this important topic of concept of spiritual teacher. And we have started this lecture series to give people some spiritual perspective so that they remain calm and happy and also can face the challenges of the epidemic and the pandemic and the stress and strain associated with the pandemic. And this is the 11th lecture in this series. We have tried to have some series of generic lectures on how to be happy and how, with the help of Vedanta, and also some introduction to scriptures. So now let me. The idea is to bring Vedanta in a very generic manner, because we have all kinds of audience, and the help of the generic kind of messaging can help. Let me. Some of you know Swamiji well, so thank you, Swamiji, for being with us. Swami Atmeshananda joined the Ramakrishna order in 1978 and has received his monastic training at its headquarters at Belur Math in India. He has served in various capacities with the motto of service to beings is service to God. He was in Singapore for several years before coming to Australia in March 2001. The tradition that he represents preaches the harmony of all religions and unity of existence. With these words, I would request Udaranandaji Maharaj to speak a few words. Thank you, Atmeshanandaji Maharaj, once again. Now I request Udaranandaji Maharaj.
Can you unmute your mic, Udaranand?
I, on behalf of Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of Philippines, welcome you, Maharaj. We are very thankful to you for kindly, really very, very thankful to you. And I hope that your blessings, you will continue to shower it on us all the time whenever we require it. And it is there all the time with us. So I welcome all others who are there also to join this lecture, who have joined this lecture and to make it a success. So without, I think everybody is eagerly waiting for Maharaj to speak, so I will not say anything more. I will request Maharaj to please start the lecture. I'm going to talk. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Let me begin with an invocation. If you would like to join, please do join. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Sahavi Vavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmasvarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. At the outset, I would like to thank Swami Udarananda ji and Nirmal Ganguly for organizing this program or this series of talks. And it is very apt that during this difficult period, we spend a little time in thinking, meditating, and trying to understand the meaning of life itself. Life teaches us great lessons. If we keep our minds open to the lessons taught by the world, we will be enriched. If we close our mind to any learning for that matter, we are the losers. Everyone needs a teacher. Even a pickpocket needs a teacher. Everybody definitely needs a teacher. What to speak of the spiritual sciences, which is very intricate. The science of the self is very intricate. And we have teachers in every level of our life. In Hinduism, we speak about the 3 levels of existence: the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. Broadly, we say that there are 3 forces in this universe and beyond. One is called the Adibhautika, that means the physical level. Adidaivika, the level of the mind, as well as that of beyond the physical world. And then the Adhyatmika, that means the spiritual level. That is why we say the 3 Shantis. When we say Shanti, 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 we mean we want to pacify, or we want to bring in the 3 kinds of peace: physical peace, mental peace, as well as the spiritual peace. For us to be taught how to live our life and how to improve our life, as well as to know our own selves, we have in our lives 3 gurus, 3 types of gurus. And I would like to call them as Adibhautika gurus, Adidaivika gurus, and Adhyatmika gurus. Adibhautika, that is the physical guru, begins with our mother and father. And then comes the teachers who teach us the material sciences. They are the physical gurus. Then comes the next, that is Adidaivika. That means the not physical, but the mental and the otherworldly gurus. Like if you go to, in Christianity, you go to a pastor, you go to a priest, or in Hinduism, you go to temples and priests and all that. So those who teach you how to pacify or please the divine or the gods, so that you can enjoy mental benefits or mental peace and all that. So they are called the Adibhautika gurus, Adidaivika gurus. Then comes the Adhyatmika guru. That is the guru, the teacher of the spiritual self. One who points out the finger at you and says, look here, the divine is within you, and that you should try to understand, or you try to realize this divine that is within yourself. That is the Adhyatmika Guru. Sri Ramakrishna, however, says that the real Guru, the real teacher is Satchit Ananda. Satchidananda is our real teacher. And in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we read, Satchidananda is the only Guru. So Guru is actually the manifestation of the omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient divine. That is of the nature of existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. If we analyze our lives, we see that all these three things apply in our lives: existence, knowledge, and bliss. We all want to be existence. That is, we are based in Satya, in truth, Sat. So all of us, none of us want to go away. All of us want to be. So Sat, and then comes the Chit, that is Chetana, that consciousness. There is this urge in every being, from a baby to the oldest person, to know, to learn. There is the Chetana, that consciousness or that intelligence which wants to learn. And then, pardon? Somebody is, it's all right. And then we have what is called as Ananda. Ananda is the joy. In fact, the goal of every being, from an ant to the realized soul, to a Christ or a Ramakrishna, is that Ananda, to enjoy, to experience the joy within. So these are the three very important aspects of divinity itself. Sat is that which is always existent, that which is omnipresent, at always existent. Then Chit is omniscient, that which knows everything, that which is the consciousness light behind everything. And then what we see as Ananda, the bliss, omnipotent. He is there everywhere, and that he is the very nature of Ananda itself. In the Upanishads we read Ananda Maya. That means the nature of the divine is that it is enveloped with Ananda. Take a sweet meat, a rasagulla, and what is it made out of? It is made out of cheese and sugar. It is sugar maya, that means it is full of sugar. In the same way, the divine is of the nature of Ananda, bliss. Holy Mother Sharda Devi used to say that when somebody asked that question, Mother, you seem to be like any ordinary mother. You are always cooking, you are looking after the visitors, the children, everyone, and you are feeding the cows and doing all the household work just as any other lady would do. So what is so great about you? What is so different from my own mother? Then mother critically said, well, my child, the only difference is that I am always in that blissful state. There is a a flow of Ananda within me. I've just phrased Holy Mother's words, not exact words. So she says that there is this ever flowing joy within Ananda. And that is what is the goal of every being, for that matter, from the ant to the realized soul. Everyone wants that Ananda. So the nature of the divine is that of Sat, Chit and Ananda. And that Satchidananda is the real Guru of all of us. And Guru is actually a Shakti. It is a power. It's not a mere personality. It's not a mere human being, but it is a Shakti. So when a Guru initiates a disciple, he or she transmits this power. Do not look upon a Guru as a mere human being. He may have faults and failures, but he or she represents a great force, a great energy. And when the Guru initiates us, he or she transfers this energy onto us. So this is the Shakti of the divine. Power is transmitted by the Guru to the disciple directly, not through any medium. I remember one very funny incident that took place many years ago. We had Swami Bhuteshanandaji Maharaj, who was our president at that time. At that time, he had not, he had just become the president of the order. So one young monk asked the Swamiji, Swami, nowadays there is this records. There is a mantra recording everywhere. The priests also, you can even record all the mantras of a priest or the incantations of the priest, and you can perform a worship. So there is all these mantras. So is it not sufficient for us just to listen to the mantras? Why is it necessary for us to chant the mantra and take the trouble of chanting it? In those days, we had these cassettes, tape cassettes. And the tapes that were available in India were not of a very superior quality. After a few times of playing the tape, the tape recorder would get spoiled, or the tape would get spoiled. So when Swami Bhuteshanandaji said, well, yes, it is true that you can play the tape, but who will get the mukti? Who will get the release? The tape recorder or the tape itself will get the mukti. So this power is transmitted from person to person. So it cannot be, mantra cannot be given to you by Skype or by this Google Meet or by Zoom. No, it has to be transferred from the teacher, who is a competent teacher, to the disciple, who must also have some competence. And then one of the sayings of our scripture says, Guru Vaktre Sthitam Brahma Labhyate Tat Prasadataha. There is power in the words of the Guru, because the power is hidden in the words or the tongue of the Guru. Guru Vaktre Sthitam. This manifestation of power of the divine manifests in different degrees in different people. Once Sri Ramakrishna was meeting with Vidyasagar, a great educationist, a great humanist, and a great scholar. And so Vidyasagar, so Sri Ramakrishna was very eager to meet Vidyasagar. He went to see him. And Sri Ramakrishna went on talking and he said, just see how picturesque this universe is, how many things there are. There is the sun, the moon, the stars, and how many varieties of living beings are there in this universe. They are big or small, good and bad, strong and weak. Some are endowed with more power and some with less. At that moment, Vidyasagar interjected and he said, well, sir, has God endowed some with more power and others with less power? Sri Ramakrishna said, well, as an all-pervading spirit, God exists in all beings, even in an ant, but the manifestations of his power are different in different beings. Otherwise, how can one person put 10 persons to flight while another cannot face even one person? And why do all people respect you? Vidyasagar was a very highly respected person. Have you grown a pair of horns? He asked him. You have not grown a pair of horns that everybody should respect you. You have more compassion and you have more learning. Therefore, people honor you and come to pay their respects. Vidyasagar was very much impressed by this answer of Sri Ramakrishna. That is to say that the manifestation of divine power through the Guru manifests in different degrees, so to say. Having said that, we have the example of great saints. There was one Avadhuta, that means a wandering monk. We see it in the Bhagavatam, the Holy Scripture, where it says that this Avadhuta had 24 gurus, 4 teachers, which included animals, birds, aquatic beings, women, men, and all that. So he accepted everyone as his guru and learned something or the other from them. In the Bible, we see Jesus also accepts John the Baptist as his teacher and also receive instructions from many others. Well, John then remonstrates and said, it is not for me to teach you, but it is for you to teach me. But then Christ says very critically, he says, no, I should follow the tradition. The tradition is that knowledge must be received from one person to the other, and I need to respect that tradition. The teacher also should have proper qualifications. Anybody cannot become a teacher. In Hindi, we have a saying. I will come to that a little later. The teacher also needs to have a few qualifications. Anybody and everybody cannot be a guru. Otherwise, it will be like the blind leading the blind. So there are certain qualifications of becoming a guru. Swami Vivekananda speaks about it in his book, the Bhakti Yoga. And there he quotes from the scriptures. So there are 3 very important qualifications of a teacher. What is it? The first is Shrotriya. Shrotriya, that is a person who should have the knowledge of the scriptures. Knowledge of the subject must be there. So he should know the essence of all the scriptures. That is Shrotriya. Then comes Avrajinaha. Avrajina is his conduct should be beyond reproach. He should live strictly in conformity with the scriptures. So purity of heart and purity of soul is very important. That is why Christ said, "Blessed are pure in heart, for they shall see God." So that purity is very, very important. Swami Vivekananda further says in the Bhakti Yoga, there must be the worthy vibration of spirituality in the mind of the teacher, so that it may be sympathetically conveyed to the mind of the taught, that means to the disciple. That means the worthy vibration must be there. Anybody and everybody cannot be or should not be a guru. And the third one is akamahataha. That means his relationship with his or her disciple should not have any kind of selfish motive. Swami Vivekananda, to quote Swami Vivekananda, the only medium through which spiritual force can be transmitted is love. Love without asking for any return. To Sri Ramakrishna came many people, and among them there were some youngsters, Swami Vivekananda and the others. They were penniless. In fact, to some of these youngsters, Sri Ramakrishna had to arrange some money for them to come, the carriage hire. He had to organize that. They were penniless, and they would come. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, "Do you know why I love these youngsters? Because they are pure." And Sri Ramakrishna's love was beyond any expectation. He didn't expect anything from anyone of that. So, Shrotriyaha avrajinaha akamahataha. That means without any thought of return, without any thought of gain. So that is the qualification of the teacher. Now comes the qualification of a student. I was saying that there is a Hindi saying, "Guru mile lakh lakh, chela na mile ek." There may be many gurus, but to get a proper disciple is one in a million. So that is to say, there should be some qualifications to become a disciple also. Otherwise, it will be a lot of struggle for the teacher. Holy Mother Sharda Devi used to initiate anybody and everybody. In the Ramakrishna order, there were the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, so that is Swami Brahmananda, Swami Shivananda and others. At that time, Swami Brahmananda was the president of the Ramakrishna order. So he was very choosy in choosing his disciples. He would not initiate anyone and everyone. He would send them back and forth many a times until he was convinced that they are fit to receive his initiation. But when somebody became very insistent, he would say, "Okay, now go to Holy Mother. She will initiate you." And then Holy Mother would see that those people, and then she used to very smilingly say, "When children always give their best to their mother, but here I have such children who send all the worthless and useless to me so that I can." And of course, Holy Mother, Sri Ram, Brahmananda and others, they used to say, "Well, mother can swallow any poison for that matter." So they would go, they would receive initiation, and after initiation, they would either forget the mantra or they would not perform any japa at all. So Holy Mother used to wake up very early in the morning, 2:30 or 3, and then she would keep on doing the japa telling her rosaries till about 6 a.m. in the morning. And then one of the disciples asked her, well, mother, what is the need for you to perform this japa? You are a realized soul already. The flow of ananda, joy is always there in you. Why do you need that? The mother smiled and said, well, I have initiated some children who have received the initiation but have forgotten the mantra, and they do not perform any of their spiritual disciplines at all. So I remember them and I do their japa. That means I do the spiritual practice for them. Anyway, that should not be the case in our level. So that is why there are certain qualifications that are necessary for a student as well. See, in the beginning, I told you about the qualifications of Guru, akamahata. That means the Guru should not ask for anything, but the disciple, the first thing is the disciple should not take anything free at all. Must always be paying for that. That is through a spiritual practice, and also help or support the Guru. It is very important. So the second qualification of a student is that he or she must approach the Guru with implicit faith. There is a term in Sanskrit called Shraddha. Shraddha is commented upon as emptying ourselves and allowing new knowledge to get in. If our pot is already full with our ego and other things, or with the ego and assumptions, then new knowledge cannot get in. Therefore, Shraddha is emptying ourselves and allowing new knowledge to get in. We must open ourselves to the reality and thus become broad and thirsty for knowledge. So, Shraddha, one should approach the teacher with faith, with humility. It's a very important thing. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, we see Sri Krishna saying this, that you must approach the teacher with a lot of respect. With a lot of respect. That's a very important thing. Second is purity. There must be some purity in the disciple as well. So without purity, you will not be able to receive the grace so very well. It will all float away, so to say. And the third is the thirst for knowledge. There must be the thirst to feel that I need this knowledge. I want to be free. It's very important. And the fourth is perseverance. One must persevere. Swami Vivekananda says there are 3 P's, capital P's. If you have these 3 P's in your life, success will be guaranteed. What are those 3? Purity, patience, and perseverance. Purity is very important. Patience, yes. Don't become impatient that you have not achieved anything right now. Be patient. Patience and persevere. Keep on moving. Go on forward, go forward. You read Sri Ramakrishna's life. He will say, he will give you the example of a woodcutter going into the forest. A brahmachari, a monk said, go forward, go forward. As he went forward, he found a forest of sandalwood trees. He cut them and then became rich. But he said, no, the teacher said, go forward. So he went further into the forest. He found a gold mine, a silver mine. Then he went further, he found a gold mine. Then he went further, he found a diamond mine. All this to say that we need to persevere in our efforts. Do not stop. Just because we have achieved or we have got some visions or we have heard something and all that, don't stop over there. Go forward, go onward. That is a very important point that Swami Vivekananda talks about in his Bhakti Yoga, about the qualifications of a student. It's a very important thing. One must surrender and then seek knowledge. Ask questions with genuine interest. Not just to put the teacher into a fix, but to learn things genuinely. It's a very important thing. Ask questions. Pariprashnena tadvidhi pranipathena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshina, says Sri Krishna. Tadvidhi. If you want to know the truth, what you should do is pranipata, that is surrender. Bow down before the teacher. That means let your ego be come down to the level of the feet of the Guru. Pranipathena, pariprashnena. That means ask questions of the teacher, genuine questions of the teacher. The whole of the Bhagavad Gita is nothing but this question and answer, pariprashna. Then third one is seva. That means offering your services, financial, physical, and most of all, service to the divine is in the service to the Guru in the form of following what the Guru has said. That is a great service. Otherwise, the Guru has to work overtime to help you. Therefore, one needs to serve the Guru by following the instructions of the Guru. And this Guru power, in the beginning itself, I had said that this Guru is nothing but a power, and it flows. In traditions like the Ramakrishna order, this Guru power flows in a continuous flow. From Sri Ramakrishna was initiated by Totapuri. Totapuri was initiated. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna had at least five gurus, but he mainly, we accept the Totapuri tradition. Totapuri was belonged to the order of Sri Shankaracharya, and then Sri Shankaracharya's guru was Govindapada, and Govindapada's guru was Gaudapada, and Gaudapada's guru was Shukadeva, and then Shukadeva's guru was Vyasa, the guru of all gurus, and then his guru was Vishnu himself, the Lord himself. Like this, the continuous power has been flowing from the divine to the present day in the form of the presidents of the Ramakrishna order, as well as the other appointed gurus of the Ramakrishna. There is this unbroken stream. What we just have to do is just to go and spread our palms in front of this stream and then start savoring it or drinking from this continuous stream that is flowing from there. I will just conclude with one incident from the life of Sri Swami Brahmananda and Swami Vivekananda. How this Guru Shakti is very important. How we respect the president of the order, especially as our Guru. Once Swami Vivekananda and Swami Brahmananda were sitting on a bench facing the Ganga, the Ganges. A disciple of Swami Vivekananda, his name was Swami Achalananda Kedar Baba, and he was nearby. So seeing him, Swami Vivekananda called him and said, "Go and get some flowers from the garden." So he went, brought the flowers, and Then Swamiji said, offer them at my feet, because he was his guru. So he offered it at his feet. With great respect and reverence, he offered it at his feet. And then Swami Vivekananda said, now go back again and fetch some more flowers. He went and fetched some more flowers. And then he said, now offer it at the feet of Swami Brahmananda, who was seated next to him. Brahmananda, Swami Vivekananda himself did not become the president of the order, but he made Swami Brahmananda, the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna, as the president. So he said, you offer it at the feet of Swami Brahmananda. By this, he said that Guru and the representative of the Guru, that is the president of the Ramakrishna order, are the same. Worship the Guru as long as he is with you in his mortal form, and then when he is no more in his physical body, then worship this Sangha Guru, or the Guru of the Ramakrishna order, of the tradition that you represent as your Guru. So this Guru Shakti is flowing very powerfully in the Ramakrishna order. Swami Vivekananda had once prophesied, he said that this power will flow here at Belur Math, that is the Ramakrishna order, for 1500 years. It's just a little over 100 years that has passed, and it is going to make a great impact upon the society. There is no doubt about that. Only we just have to go and sit near this flow and then get this power into ourselves, or let it flow into ourselves and make our lives blessed and make our lives an example for not only for the others but for the whole of the universe. May the blessings and the grace of Sri Ramakrishna flow upon us is my humble prayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharajji, for your such enlightened and insightful discourse, and also to explain to us what a guru means and how the qualities of a guru and the importance that we have to be proper disciples, qualified disciples, to take benefit of the gurus. Now it is question and answers time. So if you have any question, any doubt, or any thought, you can come one by one. Please unmute yourself, and the moment you finish, please mute yourself, and kindly try to be brief so that Maharajji can accommodate at least 4 or 5 people. And thank you very much. One by one you can talk.
Thank you.
May I?
Yes, yes.
Maharajji Pranam. So my question is around the fact you referred to some of these masters having more than one guru in their life,
Yes.
and it is a noble goal to learn from every great teacher that you come across.
Yes.
But many a times I have seen in my own life, genuine seekers, they cannot make up their mind as to who their real guru is. So they end up by being, fellow travelers. They go from one to the other organization and somehow get caught up in that journey and cannot find their ultimate teacher. So please throw some light and enlighten us on that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Look, when I said that these great saints like the Avadhuta and Sri Ramakrishna and others, they had different gurus. It is meant to say that they found truth through all of these. That means following every one of them, they found the truth. Like in the case of Sri Ramakrishna, because he is the latest, he he practiced the disciplines that were taught by all of the gurus, and through each one of them he found the goal of that particular teaching. There is no doubt. Like when you study in your university also, if you study well chemistry or physics or whatever it is, you become an expert in every one of. So you may have 3 or 4, so you may have degrees in 3 or 4 subjects, yet but at the same time, you will follow one thing which is most near and dear to you. So that is where it is. The real guru will come to you in your life, and you will know that he is the real guru. While we go window shopping for the different gurus, one or the other, somebody is always waiting for you, so to say. As you are searching for a proper guru, the guru is also searching for you. The real guru will come to your life, and only you need to be very prayerful and just look for or search for that guru who will come to your life. There is no doubt about that. And the other thing which we need to be always careful is we get enamored by the externals of some gurus. The external manifestations, it may be some magic that they show, or it may be some kind of blessings that they shower upon you and all that. But that is not everything. Can this, or does this teacher touch my inner being, and does it give me a joy that stays with me for a very long time? That is a question that we need to ask. So the guru will definitely come to you as you are looking for a guru. If there is that intense desire in the disciple, the correct guru, the proper guru will definitely come to you. There is no doubt about that. I will tell you one incident which some of you, I think Swami Udarananji would know probably, is some years ago I had been to Pune, and Swami Geetanandaji Maharaj, one of our vice presidents, he had come over there to initiate. Now at about 9:30 or 10 in the night, one gentleman comes to the ashram, and this was told to me by one of the monks there, and he met this Swami and said, "Swamiji, I have come here from a long way. I want to receive initiation tomorrow. I want to be initiated." So the Swami was very upset. He said, "You are coming at 10 o'clock, and you had to, if you ever needed any initiation, you had to come during the day. You had to meet the Swami who will give you initiation and all that. So this is not the time for you to just go away." So there was a little bit of heated arguments. That time, the Swami Geetanandji had almost retired in his room. From inside, he suddenly opened his door, and then he asked, "Has anyone come here today?" He did not hear all that altercations, but from inside, he got up from his bed, opened the door, and came out and asked, "Has somebody come here today asking for initiation?" So this Swami was puzzled. He said, "Well, yes, I sent away this guy. He said, no, go and call him." So he called him and he said, "You are going to receive initiation tomorrow." See, from this person had so much of seeking within him that he came running. Even at that time in the night he came, and here the Swami had already received that message and said, well, he is ready for to receive initiation. So the guru, while there is intensity in the mind of a disciple, there is also intensity in the mind of the Sadguru also. So I hope that makes any sense to you.
The next question, please.
I think
If Swamiji's lecture has been so enlightening and clear that the qualities of a disciple and the qualities of a guru and the real seeking power was so inspiring. So I think people could internalize most of the things. And on behalf of Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of Philippines and all the members of the group present here, we profusely thank Swamiji for such an enlightened lecture, and Pranam Maharaj Ji, and we hope that we seek your blessings, Maharaj Ji, and also in future we look forward to your kind support and guidance. Thank you, Maharaj Ji. And we would like to, before we conclude, people may like to say their pranam to Maharaj Ji or greetings to Maharaj Ji. One by one, you can say your greetings.
Thank you.
Pranam.
Namaste, Anjali. Namaste.
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 Pranam Maharaj.
Pranam Maharaj.
Namaskar. Namaste.
Pranam Maharaj.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Pranam Maharaj.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Namaskar.
So we would conclude today's meeting here. Thank you very much, Maharaj Ji. So very kind and gracious of you on behalf of Udarananda Ji and all the members of Vedanta Society of Philippines, and also all the members. We profusely thank you for your kind time and inspiring lecture, Maharaj Ji. So those of you who want to continue for some chat, you are most welcome. I will stop recording now. So after that, if those of you who have time, they can continue for an informal chat. And Pranam Maharaj Ji once again.
With Maharaj, yes. If Maharaj is ready, you can talk with Maharaj also.
Yes.
This is the opportunity.
Okay.
See, online is the opportunity, Maharaj, to talk. You see, where
Yes, true.
yes,
true.
this is a very big opportunity. Otherwise, you are in Brisbane, we are in
If you have, Maharaj Ji, if you have some time, you can continue here. I'll stop recording.
Yes, please stop recording. We can talk.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we can informally ask questions. Maharaj is there. It is an opportunity for you to ask questions. Different.
There.